Yes, welcome to Legal Matters. It's David Darko, Justice and Law Solicitors. Once again, bringing you Legal Matters this morning. Emremu Nsem. If you have just tuned in, share the program with your loved ones. And I believe what we are going to be talking about today will be beneficial to you and your family members. As soon as you join us, do the best that you can and share the program, because there has been some interesting developments in relation to employment and immigration. As we all know, the economy is struggling, and as a result, many companies are making employees redundant. And as we know, we have something called redundancy rules and laws and policies. If an employer likes to make people redundant, or because of the work environment, businesses are now going down, and the employer is running a loss, the natural thing for them to do is to lay off staff. And when you are laying off staff, then of course there have to be a redundancy package. The redundancy package, if you like, it is a form of compensation for the loss of your job and for the employer to bring the employment relationship to an end without any further legal consequences. But the interesting phenomenon is those employment that has over the years been taken over by another company. And these new companies, instead of looking at the actual date of employment, instead, some of these companies, at least the report or the complaints that we have received, some of these companies are looking to pay the compensation from the time that they took over the services from another company, so that in effect, they will end up paying less compensation to affected employees. In short, what it is this. When an employer decides to lay off staff, there are legal loopholes or legal hoops that they have to go through in order to legally bring an employment contract to an end without any further consequences. And therefore, they have to go through a consultation process and then select which employees that they're gonna make them redundant. And economically, those people who have not been in the employment for a long time are those people that you can easily also make them redundant. Economically, the reality is also cheap to make those people redundant rather than someone who is been working for the company for a very long time. And in fact, there is also a selection policy where an employer can decide to bring an employment contract to an end based on last one in, first one out policy. Because those people, they are easy, if you like, to make them redundant, and it's also cost less. It costs cheap. It's cheaper to bring those people's contract to an end by way of redundancy as compared to someone who has been working for the company for a substantial period of time. When it comes to the calculations, maybe you will understand this better, why economically it makes economic sense to bring an employment contract to an end in relation to an employee who has not been working for the company for a substantial or significant period of time. Now, the latest phenomenon, what I've been told and what has come before us, in fact, only this week we have had about 3 cases, and the complaints appears to be the same. It's the same complaint that people are bringing us. So I thought it would be important to share this with you so that you can keep an eye just in case you are facing the same problem, or you have a family member who is perhaps also facing the same issue or about to face the same issue, so that you can advise them and you can also bring this to their attention. As I aforementioned, companies are struggling, and therefore no reasonable person can expect a company to keep employing people, to keep paying them, if the company is not doing well and if there is no money to pay these people. So in short, a company may decide either to close down, or perhaps in order to sustain the business, they have to restructure. And therefore, through the restructuring process, some people are going to be fired. And the nice way to put it, that they'll be made redundant. So, a company may decide to go through what we call the consultation process, where the affected employers or affected employees will be told about what the company is going through and the need to make some people redundant. And the company may perhaps also look at the possibility of relocating some staff members, or in some cases, try to get them another department so that they'll be able to keep their jobs. But in some cases, it's simply not possible. And if it is not possible, what is going to happen? The employer may decide to make some of the employees redundant. So they will go through the consultation process and the selection process. And the next step will be to what? Will be to identify those people that they cannot keep, those people that they cannot keep employing, because there are simply no jobs out there. Fair enough. Once you are selected and you are facing the chop, you are going to lose your job. The employer will have to give you a package called the redundancy package. The redundancy package, what it is? What is it that the employer have to do? You see, when it comes to the package and the calculation of the package, the employer have to look at your length of service, how long that you have been working for the company, in order to work out the redundancy pay. They need to work out the redundancy pay. But the complaint that has come before us this week and a couple of days is that, as we all know, most people or some people will work within the service industry, or they may be working for one company this year, or maybe last year, maybe 4 years ago. And as we know, they may lose the contract. Another company takes over the employment, the employment obligations. They may decide to take over the responsibility of the previous employer. And therefore, in law, we call it to pay. Basically, to pay means transfer of undertakings, protection of employment regulations. And all that it says is to secure your employment rights. And therefore, if another company takes over the job that you were doing previously, and it is done under 2-pay, like I said, 2-pay means transfer of undertakings, protection of employment regulations. Once they take over, it doesn't mean your old employment came to an end. We need to be very, very careful about this particular point. And we need to listen carefully. Because if we listen carefully, we will hear. And if we hear, we will not lose out on money. Because the complaint that has come before me is surrounding this area. So, what it is this. So, maybe you are working for a company A, and you provide a service to maybe a supermarket, as an example. Okay, let's just give this example. Say, Lawyer Darko, I'm a cleaner, and I work for Mr. Motivator Cleaning Company. And the cleaning job is done at, say, Sainsbury's, as an example. I've been working for this company from 2010 as a cleaner for Motivation Company. Only last year, Mr. Motivation Company lost the contract to clean for Sainsbury's. I hope it is clear. And the cleaning services was taken over by Mr. Template Cleaning Company. And the movement was done through 2-pay, which is the transfer of undertakings, protection of employment regulations, and therefore my old contract has been transferred from Motivation Company to Mr. Template Company. As an example, when it happens like that, my old contract has not come to an end. It is continuing because my contract has been transferred from the old company to the new company. And therefore, when it comes to my my level of service or my years of service, it doesn't come from last year. You should count from the year 2010 because my employment has been continuing and ongoing. Why is this particular point important? It is important because if today I am facing redundancy, let's pay attention to this. If today I am facing redundancy and Mr. Template Company tells me that I am not eligible to be given a redundancy package by way of a compensation because my contract only started last year, that cannot be true in law. Because once your contract has been transferred under 2-pay to the new company, your contract is deemed to have been continuing or extended. And therefore, my level of employment or the years of service of my employment does not come from last year, but it will come from 2010, which is my original employment contract. Why is this so crucial? It is crucial because when it comes to redundancy package and they are calculating as to how much compensation that they should give me, then they need to look at, one, this is how you calculate redundancy pay. And we must pay attention to this because the longer you are working for a company, the better your compensation package. And therefore, as an employer, I wouldn't want to pay more if I'm losing business and I'm losing contract and I'm losing money. Why would I want to pay more? You see, as an employer, if they are straight, they will be honest and basically set it back to the year 2010 as an example. So they will take it back to the year 2010. However, there are also employers that are not straight. They are crooks. So they will try to deceive you. How did they deceive you? And why would they deceive you? They will deceive you because they want to pay you less. And this is how they go about in doing it. They will simply tell you, this is what I have seen, I have heard this week. And in fact, I have letters in front of me that I am helping these people, because what's happened is that when their transfer, when their employment was taken over by a new company, now they are facing redundancy, and the new company is telling them that their employment with their original employer came to an end. And all that they did was to start a new contract with them, and therefore they can only pay them redundancy based on the time that they took over the business. You know, when it happens like that, what is happening is that all the years that you have worked for your previous employer will not be factored in when you are doing what? When you are calculating your employment and redundancy packages. Just give me one moment, sir, please. So this is how it works. So all that you got to do is to make sure that you go through your stuff and look for letters that you receive, especially when there was the taking over. Because what it is that every time that the new employer come into equation, they will give you a letter. We call it 2-pay letter, advising you that the new company is going to take over the business. And as a result, they will be taking over the employment regulations, the relationship, and the responsibilities between the parties. And therefore, you will still be entitled to the number of years that you have worked within the company and also the company before they take over. It is crucial in the sense that when it comes to the redundancy package and how redundancy is calculated, what you do is that the calculation is as follows. If you are under 22 years of age, the redundancy package is calculated as follows. Half of your week's pay each year if you are under 22. So for example, if you've been working for a company for 10 years and every week I am earning £400 a week, that means the calculation is, and I'm under 20 and I am under 22 years. That means the package, the statutory redundancy pay is going to be one. If I'm under 22 years, it's going to be half of my week's pay for each full year that I have worked. And so therefore, what is going to happen is as follows. If I'm earning £400 a week, my half of my weekly pay is going to be £200. And if I've been working for the company for 10 years, £200 times 10 years will give me how much? It will give me £2,000 for the 10 years, as an example. If I am 22 years or more, but under 40 years, this is the calculation. It's going to be my 1 week pay for each year. It is not half. 1 week pay for each year. So for example, once again, if my wages is £400 a week and I've been working for the company for 10 years, you just multiply £400 times the 10 years that I have worked, and that will give me a statutory minimum of £4,000. And if I am over 41 years of age, it's going to be 1.5 weeks pay for each full year. So 1.5. So my wages is £400 a week. Half of 400 will be how much? Will be 200. So it's going to be £600 a week times the 10 years that I have worked. So that will then give me £6,000. So imagine if the employer is telling you, instead of calculating it based on the 10 years that I have been in the business, and the employer has managed to convince me that their business only took over 3 years ago. And as a result, they will not be prepared to pay me 10 years because my old contract came to an end. What is going to happen? Instead of the 10 years service that I'm supposed to get paid times my weekly wages, or half of my weekly wages, or half of 1.5 of my weekly wages, the employer will end up short-changing me. And therefore, my redundancy package will be less attractive. So people need to understand this principle, because if not, whether we like it or not, there is so much redundancy going on, and people are going to take advantage of you. There are so many employers out there that are genuine, but then again, you are going to get crook ones who will find any means, any avenues to try and basically mess you up. Because at the end of the day, and I will keep saying this, the life that we lead, man is just self-control. Man is just self-control. Everyone is in it for himself. That is a natural order. That is a fact of life. That is a fact of life. And therefore, the employer is not there for you. And therefore, you are not there for the employer. Everyone is out there for himself, and everyone is out there to grab as much as they can to feed their families. Money is like numbers. It never ends. And everyone is struggling to get a bite. How do you eat an elephant? Elephant is big. You cannot swallow it. However, you chop one slice at a time. So this is something that I think we all have to be aware of. We have to understand how it works. So if you are facing redundancy, there has been a transfer of undertaking. Never let anyone deceive you that since we took over, that is where your employment with us started. If there was a to-pay, you need to go back to when you originally signed your contract. If someone takes over a contract, they also take over responsibilities. And therefore, when it comes to redundancy, they cannot share the responsibility, or they cannot run from that responsibility. And you should not allow anyone to run from that responsibility. You should hold them accountable. And as I speak to you, some cases have come before me, and I hope it will be resolved without court intervention. But in an unlikely event it end up in court, I can guarantee you that we are going to win this case in court, because I, for one, will not sit there for my clients to be shortchanged. Sometimes it's not about anything, but it's about principle. It's about principle. A man without principle is nothing. Every man must have a principle, and you must stick by your principle no matter what. And therefore, if an employer is trying to cheat you through redundancy, then you need to step up and you need to fight for your right. So what I would say in that respect is that people have to be aware of this. If you have just joined us, I will encourage you. I ask that you also share this program, because by sharing it, perhaps directly or indirectly, you will also be curing someone's problem. And at the moment, we are all facing redundancies. A lot of us are working in companies or organizations. Things are not well due to COVID-19, and as a result, everyone's job is on the line. And if everyone's job is on the line, and you are watching me and you are aware of these people, then you need to send this program to them. All the community leaders, try and share this program with your church members in particular. If you are in a group, also do the best that you can and share the program in the group. Because by doing that, I believe you will also be helping them. Life is a journey and life is one big road. It's full of signs. At the moment, we are all hitting the rut, and the least that we can do is not to complicate our minds. So we've got to do what we've got to do. Share the program on our Facebook walls. Share the program to our loved ones, people that we know, people that we don't know. Let everyone benefit from this, because people are going through tough times. Losing a job is not easy, and also to be shortchanged, that will make matters worse. So I will encourage everyone who have tuned in, please share the program. Let's spread the education. Let people know that there's something going on Fire Life Radio, on David Darko's Facebook page. And I believe this will be very, very helpful to a lot of people. So the more we share, the more we educate. The more we educate, by doing that, you'll be saving someone's thousands of pounds. Because these cases that come before me, if they have not come to me, they would have simply accepted what they were being offered. In some cases, some people would have lost about 5,000 pounds for lack of knowledge. My people, like the Bible say, may perish or will perish. So by so doing, by sharing the program, I believe that you will also be doing your bit to stop people from perishing, because we share the knowledge, we share it, and people will benefit from it. If you don't share it and we don't spread the good news, some scrupulous employers are going to be taking advantage of people. And, you and I can do our bit to do what? To spread the information. We spread the information, and once people acquire the knowledge, they'll become powerful, and, they'll be able to get a fair deal from their redundancy package, because facing redundancy in itself is not, someone will say, it's not palatable. It's not something nice, but this is the economic reality. It's got to happen. It is happening. And for that reason, I ask that you also share the program so that I and our people can also benefit from this program today. So that's what I will say. Redundancy and to pay. That is what I can say in that respect. Because of time factor, I will not go through the consultation process and the process of redundancy. We will leave that for another day. However, if you are facing redundancy, the simple thing is that there have to be a consultation. If there is no consultation, it means that the employer has not followed the correct process. And if they have not followed the correct process, then of course, that in itself can also lead to a remedy being sought against the employer. So I will say that it is important that if you are facing redundancy, the employer has gone through the process and you have been selected that you are facing redundancy, then all that you can do is to make sure that you get a fair deal, you get a fair package. And by so doing, you need to look at your age and your length of service. If you're under 21, then of course, it will be based on half of your wages of a week times the number of years that you have been working for. If you are aged from 21 to 41, then you are looking at 1 week wages times the length of your service. And if you're over 41, you are looking at 1.5 of your wages. When I say 1.5 of your wages and a half. So if you are earning, say, £400 a week, it's £400. Half of £400 is 200. Put it together and you get what? You get 600 times the length of service with the employer. So that is how the calculation is done. I've just had an emergency telephone call. So let me just take this phone call because this person has been calling me relentless. I don't know what the problem is. So let's just play this music. Let me speak to this person and then we will come back and continue the program. Normally, I will not answer telephone calls when I'm doing the program, but I could see that the person has called about 5 times continuously. I've told the person, send a text message. No text message is coming. The person keep banging, banging, banging. So let me just listen to the person and let me play this song whilst I take this call. And as soon as I come back, you'll be looking at COVID-19 and update in relation to the coronavirus job retention scheme. That will be the next that we'll be looking at. So before that, let's take this song Stir It Up by Bob Marley and a cover by Jesse Clark. Jesse Clark, Stir It Up for us whilst we take this phone call and we come back. We can then continue the program. I do apologize, but it seems to me that the person need urgent attention. I will come back within the next few minutes and continue the program. If it's not urgent attention, I'm going to give the person taking off. So bear with me, please, whilst I take this phone call, which I think perhaps is probably emergency. If it's not, the person is in trouble. Thank you very much. We thank you. Yes, I've answered the phone call. It was an emergency, but it's been dealt with. So thank you for your patience. I will also encourage you to share the program for us. It will be beneficial to a lot of people. So please do share the program. And we thank you for your patience and also for joining us every Saturday. The next area that I would like to talk about is an update in relation to COVID-19 support from the Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs in relation to COVID-19. And what it says is that from 1st of October, the HMRC will pay 60% of usual wages up to a cap of 1,875 per month for the hours that fell-off employees do not work. As we know, it started from 80%. Some employers were so kind enough, they were able to pay the additional 20% for individuals to still have their 100% wages whilst they were fell-off, whilst they were home not working due to COVID-19. As we can see over the past weeks, the government is doing whatever they can to push for people to get back to work and also to get the economy moving. And as a result, what is happening is that slowly, the Chancellor, Sunak, is reducing the amount of money that is given to people. And as you know, if you are getting less, no one will tell you to go to work. You're going to get up and you're going to go to work. So I think it's, part of the strategy to motivate people and also to encourage people to go back to work and to get the economy moving. So from 1st of October, it's going to be reduced to 60% of your wages. And it is going to be limited to about 1,875 per month for hours that fell-off employees do not work. So people have to be aware of this. What the government is also telling employers to do is that they should continue to pay employees who have been fell-off. They have to pay them from now until at least 1st of October, 80% as it currently stands. From 1st of October, they can reduce it to 60%, and the maximum will be £1,875 that they need to pay people. So that is that for the update in relation to fell-off. The next area that I said I'm going to be talking about before we go to the immigration policy from 1st of January 2021 will be how to make a successful application, a spousal application for entry clearance. We have touched on this on various occasions, but because of time factor, we tend to rush it through. But today, I'm going to be giving practical advice. Mr. Kenneth Kofi Ofori Boateng, good morning to you. You need to show yourself. I'm trying to work out, but I'm struggling a bit. So please do show up, so that Anyway, let's go. So basically, we are going to be looking at entry clearance application for spouses under British immigration law, and the requirement that you need to satisfy in order to make a successful application. One thing that I will say before we go to the main topic is this. We all come to this country for a reason. We come to this reason for a purpose. And what is happening is that, life is life. You don't plan certain things, but they just happened. When I was coming to Babylon, I came alone. When you were coming to Babylon, you came alone. But the reality is that as we are human beings, we form relationships. And sometimes it can be good, sometimes it can be bad. But one thing that I know about life is that any experience is a good experience. Do not allow yourself for telling lies through vision. That is the meaning of television. Telling lies through vision to capture all your imagination. Do not let what you hear, what you see, determine the way you think and your thought process. But it should be a factor that must be taken into an account. So what I'm trying to say is this. We come in, we meet people. We meet people, sometimes we form relationships with people that you may consider to be strangers. And as you form that relationship, they become more or less brothers and sisters. And in some cases, you enter into a marital relationship with these people. Or sometimes you form a relationship that you live together as an unmarried couple or unmarried relationships. Some of these relationships leads to marriage. And the world that we live in, no two hands are the same. People are different background, different cultures, different race, different religion, different nationalities, different. But sometimes we have to look at our strength, what brings us together rather than what separates us. You know, the brain is like a nose. Everyone has got one. Opinion is also like nose. Everyone has got one. And everyone genuinely believe that what they believe in should be the dominant. That's the right thing. That's the right one. But the reality is that wisdom can never come from one person's mind or one person's head. When you put things together, you are able to build and move forward. So you meet someone, and then what then happens? You form a relationship, and sometimes, you know, it leads to marriage or something called love. And then you discover the person doesn't have papers. The person is living in the UK unlawfully. You have papers. In some cases, you may be willing and be prepared to ensure that you do the right thing by filing for her so that she can get papers. You come and see Lawyer Darko. I ask about your partner's details, immigration status. Your partner does not have papers to stay in this country. And therefore, in that case, what happens? I will advise you that you and your partner have to go back to your home countries and perhaps get married over there. So today, I'm going to use Ghana as an example. So you meet someone, the person is a Ghanaian, you fall in love, you've been living together for some time, you are worried that one day, she may be arrested and perhaps be deported. And therefore you have papers and you want to cover her. You want to make sure that she's doing the right thing. You come to Lawyer Darko, I ask for her immigration status, and she doesn't have any status. She came in as a visitor, she has overstayed her visa, she's been living in the UK for over 10 years. And Lawyer Darko is telling such a person that in order to be able to make spousal application successfully, you have to go back home. Do you think someone living here for 10 years, hiding for 10 years, will simply just be prepared to pack up and go home? That is the question that a lot of people ask me every single day. Whilst I do recognize and appreciate that it is not easy, but sometimes you don't have a choice. And in such a scenario, really, you don't have a choice unless you have a child. And the child is British. Any application that you make from within the UK, the application is bound to fail. And I will use this as an example to you or for you. I remember some lady came to see me, a lady came to see me about 5 years ago. And when she came, I listened to her story and I did advise her that since you don't have any child with your partner, any application that you submit, you are looking at about 50-50 situation. But my gut instinct tells me such application will be refused. So if I was you, I will build up the courage and have faith that I'm going to jump with a faith. And therefore pack up and go back home with your husband, get the marriage done, and Lawyer Darko, I will do everything that I can to ensure that you do what? That you come back. As long as your husband will do what is expected of him. As long as you will do what is expected of you. And as long as I will do what is expected of me, you will go home and you will come back. She watched my face. She looked convinced. But when she went home, she told her husband, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to go. Fair enough. I told her, trust your own instinct. I cannot think for you, but trust your own instinct. But I believe that doing the right thing in the end will be best for you. So she sat there and did nothing. The same person introduced her friend to me. The friend came, similar situation. I advised the friend to go to Ghana with the husband and get married. And then we can then do the application for them to come in. So she came with the husband. We all sat down and I explained the legal position that even getting married in the UK is not easy, because even at the verge of marriage, it can still be intercepted. And basically, you could be arrested for being an illegal immigrant. And even after you've gone through all the hoops, if you submit an application, the application will be refused on the basis that you don't have a valid leave in the UK. So what is the point of wasting your time? She listened and she did what? She took the advice. The person went to Ghana with the husband. They got married. Within 4 days, the husband came back to the UK. The application was put in. Within a month and some few days, the visa was issued. This person came back without a lot of people realizing that she's even been out of the country and back. You see, so for me, it's important. If you are living in the UK, you are in a strong relationship with someone who is settled, and you have sought an advice, or you are thinking of making an application, there is no child involved, and therefore your human rights application will be weak, which may be likely to be refused, then the decent thing to do, and to also to have respect for the law, is to go back and come back in. A lot of people say, but if I go and I do not come back, what am I going to do if I go and I am unable to come back? The thing that I say to a lot of people is as follows. In life, the book of 2 Chronicles chapter 7 verse 14. Or see, if you humble yourself and you pray and you turn away from all your wicked ways and you pray, your God, Lord, will come and heal your land. You've been living here illegally for so long. You are living in the UK and everything that you are doing is illegal. And you have the opportunity to put it right. You don't want to humble yourself. You don't want to have faith to do the right thing. It takes time. But there is always one day for the master. Ask yourself, how long can you be running for? How long can you hide for? How long can you keep sneaking in and out from corner to corner? How long are people going to chop your money and you're just going to sit there and there is nothing that you can do about it? All because you are wearing their mask. And as a result, they are taking advantage of you. Yes, going home is not easy. Going home is not easy, especially if you've been living here for so long. Someone may be watching me and say, listen to the lawyer, listen to what he's saying. He's not in that situation, so it's easy for him to say what he's saying. Brothers and sisters, it is not easy for me to say what I'm saying, because as a lawyer, if you come to me and I advise you to go home, my reputation is also on the line. It takes so long to build a reputation. And we use money to build a reputation, but all that it takes is the tongue to damage a well-built reputation. And therefore, as a lawyer, I'm also very, very careful when I'm advising. I can only advise you based on the evidence, and if it's going to work for you, then of course, I will then offer my opinion, and I will always offer the best opinion that I can, and people who have listened, it has helped them. And if I tell you the number of people who have passed through our doors of justice and law solicitors to go back home to Gambia, South Africa, Jamaica, and Ghana, you will be surprised. And through the Spirit of the Most High, we keep delivering, and we will keep delivering, because we jump with faith. Leap of faith. Believe in it, and it shall come to pass. So we've been very, very successful in making such applications. And I believe if you are facing that dilemma, you need to ask yourself, do I have the belief in this lawyer? Do I have a belief in my partner? Do I have a belief in myself? Because when you come to us, we will lay down the requirements and what you need to do in order to make a successful application to come back. Many a times people ask this question, and before I jump in or I go into details, let me try and answer this question so that people will basically understand this. Yes, it is true that when you live in the UK unlawfully, the Home Office can use that against you in any application that you make. That is a fact. That is a fact. And under general grounds of refusal, and also paragraph 322 of the immigration rules, if you have been living here unlawfully, Home Office can use that against you. But the key is this. There are exemptions to every rule. I'm not going to go too much into details, but I will tell you this. If you come to Justice and Law Solicitors, we will do all the necessary assessment. And there we will also let you know the dangers involved and whether the risk is worth taking. And talking about risk worth taking, I'm going to use one case that I did as an example to you. And this is a case, this is a white person married to a Ghanaian. In fact, at that time, they were not married. They were in a relationship, living for some time. And this is a case that it may sound crazy to a lot of people. But believe in me, after speaking to the couple, and they took my advice on, their problem is solved. Yes, we had to go through headache. We have to go through difficulties and challenges. But nobody gave up. They never give up. I never give up because I never give up the fight. Do not underestimate the determination of a quiet man. Never, not I. So it's very, very important that when you go to lawyers, go to someone who is prepared to fight to the end. Justice and Law Solicitors, we are one of those. We never give up. You beat us today, we're going to come for revenge tomorrow. We never give up. That is the reason why we are successful in this field. So, this case is a case that I think it may motivate some people because it's a unique case. This person came to the UK, overstayed. I will not use his or her, but I'm just going to say in general. This person came to the UK with a 6-month visitor's visa. The person overstayed the visa, and the person attempted to do an application on the basis of being in a relationship with a British person. The application got refused. When it got refused, then the person was then told to come and report. So the person was reporting one day, the person went to report, and the person was detained and arrested. Home Office argument was that the person has overstayed his or her visa, and as a result, the application that the person had put in wasn't strong enough, because having a British partner is not enough, and therefore the application got rejected and the person was arrested. The question was, the person was advised by the lawyer to put in another application. You see, this is something that personally I struggle to understand. You see, if you keep doing the same thing, you get the same results. If you keep doing the same thing, you will get the same results. But if you want to achieve different outcome, you have to change the way you do things. I hope you get my drift. So if, for example, I get up every morning and it takes me 20 minutes to walk from Stockwell to Brixton, and I get up the same morning and I repeat the same thing, it's going to take me the same 20 minutes. However, if I get up, instead of walking, I start running, I have changed the method, I've changed the means. Instead of 20 minutes, it's going to take me maybe 15 minutes or 10 minutes. So that's what I'm saying. If you keep doing the same thing, you get the same outcome, period. So, for whatever reason, I don't know, the lawyer did the same application that has been refused. Did the same thing to the Home Office, it got refused again. Did the same thing again, got refused again. Third time, got refused again. At that stage, someone gave my number to the British guy that you call David Darkham. He may be able to help you. When I received this phone call, to be honest with you, I wasn't too happy. Why? Because it was at last minute stage. A ticket has been bought for the person. The person is going to be deported in 2 to 3 days' time. Lawyer Darkham, this pressure and the reputation at stake. What can I do? I do not understand why people come to us when their case is nearly collapsed. People make these mistakes, but what we have to realize is that we also have to think about our reputation. If the case is such a mess up case, I'd rather not take it. Because you take the case, as soon as it goes wrong, the person will never explain the history of the case to anyone. But instead, the person will point fingers at Lawyer Darkham to say that, oh, I went to Lawyer Darkham, my case did not work. It hardly happens. However, when we are taking on cases, we also have to take this into consideration. We also have to be very, very careful the type of case that we entertain. Because it's not any mashup case that as a reputable lawyer you are going to take. Because if you do, the case is going to go wrong and the person will damage your hard-earned reputation that you have worked so hard for nothing. And therefore, it is also very important that when you have your cases and you are looking for people who can actually help you, you need to come to us so that we can help you from the beginning. You don't need to go through that stress. Don't wait till last minute before you start rushing to us. Please, rush to us when it matters. Rush to us as the earliest as possible, at the earliest opportunity. Do not wait for the case to mash up before you start running to Lawyer Darkham. 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, you start calling lawyer. When he's unable to pick, then you complain. It doesn't work that way. It's unfair on us. So please, those people who put themselves in that tight corners and start rushing for salvation, you need to repent now from your sins. Because when you are going to hell, there may not be Jesus to help you out. So do the best that you can and do what? Bring your cases from the outset to the right places. Do not wait until your case is damaged, mash up before you start looking for salvation from justice and law solicitors. It makes it difficult for us. It makes it difficult for you. In this case, last hour, plane has been bought. The person is facing deportation. 4 days to go. Get in touch with Lawyer Darkham, and basically there was not much that we could do. I listened to the case history, and I said, you know something? Me, I don't mince my words. What you see is what you get. I am straight as a ruler as it can get. If I can do it, I will do it. If I can't do it, there's no shame in it whatsoever. Because I'm not God. Only God can do the impossibility. But I believe as a servant of God, He will always use me to save people facing challenges and difficulties. So this guy called me, lawyer, my partner has been detained. This is the case history, blah, 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 blah. I spent about 20 minutes with him. And I went through, I explained the law. And I said, now that they have bought a ticket, if I was you, forget about judicial review. Forget anything else. You love this woman, right? He said, yes. Are you prepared to do anything for her to bring her back within the law? He said, yes. And I said, if that is the case, is she prepared to do whatever she needs to do within the law to come back? He said, yes. And I said, then if that is the case, I, will also do whatever I can within the law to bring her back. And to do that, you have to make a very, very difficult decision. Home Office have bought a ticket. She's going to be deported on Thursday. Today is Monday. Buy another ticket before Thursday and make sure that she leaves the country at her own cost, at her own will, as fast as possible. Do not sit there for the Home Office to deport her or remove her from the UK at the cost of the Secretary of State, because that happens, it's going to be very, very challenging to bring her back. So what did we do? He listened, and straight away we negotiated with the Home Office. Because since they have already bought the ticket, we have to pay them for the cost of the ticket so that she can use the ticket that they have bought to go back to Ghana on the basis that she has left at her own will, at her own cost, not at the cost of the Secretary of State. Come Thursday, she went to Ghana. Interesting stuff. The husband then have to go to Ghana. They got married. The husband came back. And I did not even know that Malaysia is a visa-free country. If you are from Ghana and you are holding a Ghanaian passport and you want to go to Malaysia, you don't need a visa. I did not know. So this white gentleman brought that to my attention. So nicely, they even met in Malaysia and have some nice time. She went back to Ghana. He came back to the UK. We put in the application, and hold and behold, what then happens? Home Office said application is refused. Why? Because Home Office said that she has deliberately made multiple applications which had no merit whatsoever, with an attempt to evade immigration law under paragraph 322 of the immigration rules. Fair enough. In my representation, I covered all this area, but the Home Office were not prepared to buy it. The application was refused. And I always say this, if you are watching me today, if you are listening to me today, use this phrase as a motivator. At the verge of greatness, that is where the devil and his agents will rise. At the verge of greatness, the devil and his agents will fight against you. At the verge of greatness, people will try to destroy you. At the edge of greatness, that is where temptation also comes. So the application was refused. People started, oh, we told you not to go. What kind of lawyer is this? As you can imagine. But I knew that its application, that should have succeeded from the first place. The reasons the Home Office gave to justify the refusal, for me, was illegal. So we had to appeal against the case. And hold and behold, we went through the first year tribunal. The appeal was successful, and the person is back in the country. In all, she was in Ghana for about 1.5 years. But she came, and she came, and she came. Why did it happen that way? Because directly or indirectly, whilst she was in detention, ridiculous applications were put in, which for me were unnecessary, which for me were dubious application. So sometimes don't let someone sit there and tell you to do something that you know it will achieve no better outcome. Someone will tell you, yeah, but you can make the application from within the UK. Be very careful. No one can stop you from making an application, but you need to ask yourself, the application that you are going to make, is it going to be successful? So now let's look at the requirement when you want to make an application from entry clearance post to come back to the UK. And this is set out under Appendix FM of the Immigration Rules, Section EC-P. That's entry clearance, partnership route, or marriage route. Listen to this. The first requirement is that the applicant must be outside the UK. If you are making an application to come to the UK as a spouse of a settled person, then you must be outside the UK. So if you are within the UK, if you are in the UK, you must be outside, and therefore you need to go and then apply. So that is the first requirement. The second requirement is that the applicant must have made valid application for entry clearance as a partner. Valid application means filling the right forms and paying the appropriate fees is a valid application, and basically providing the necessary supporting evidence. C, the applicant must not fall for refusal under any of the grounds in section SEC, which is the suitability test, which means you must not have bad record, you must not have been deported, and so on and so forth. D, the applicant must meet all the requirements under EECP eligibility requirement. Now, let's look at the suitability requirement. The applicant will be refused entry clearance on grounds of suitability if any of the paragraphs SEC 1.2 to 1.8 is applicable. 1.2 read as follows. The Secretary of State has personally directed that the exclusion of the applicant from the UK is conducive to the public good. Maybe you are so bad that the Secretary of State thinks that it's not conducive for you to be in the UK. 1.3, the applicant is currently the subject of a deportation order. Maybe you are outside, you want to come in, but they have put deportation order on you. And as we know, before you can come back, you have to apply for the deportation order to be revoked. And talking about revocation, you, this man, have done revocation for you. You paid half of the money. As soon as revocation was taken out, you have kept half of the money. I've been chasing you. You are not responding. If you get to the UK, I'll make sure that you get arrested. Bear that in mind. If you owe someone, pay the person. The next one, the exclusion of the applicant from the UK is conducive to the public good because they have been convicted of an offense which has attracted 4 years imprisonment or more, or be convicted of an offense that you've been sentenced to at least 12 months but less than 4 years within the 10-year period of time, or you have been convicted of an offense and you have not completed the sentence, or you have absconded. So basically, if you have a criminal record, anything that puts your character into question, then of course, when it comes to suitability, you may struggle, including a breach of the immigration rules. However, if you're doing an application as a spouse, there are exemptions, and therefore we will go through with the exemptions with you when you come to see us in our office. Because of time factor, I may have to perhaps speed this up and do the last topic, because today 1 o'clock sharp I need to be out of here. I've got other projects that I need to do, so we will speed up today and see the best that we can do for today. 1.4 is that your presence in the UK is not conducive to public good because of criminal record, and also your question is being questioned if you are involved in terrorism, in any bad association, then of course they can use it against you. 1.6 is where the applicant has failed to attend an interview or provide information or physical data or undergo medical examination. And 1.7, it is undesirable to grant the applicant entry clearance for medical reasons. And 1.8 is the applicant left or was removed from the UK as a condition of a caution issued in accordance with Section 22 of the Criminal Justice Act 2003. So these are the suitability tests that you need to be able to watch out for. Overstaying is one of them, but if you come to justice and law, we will do the best that we can to cover that for you, because we know that we'll be able to cover that for you. So in order to do a successful application, of course, if it's a spouse, there have to be a relationship, and you need to prove evidence of relationship and how your relationship started, and evidence throughout the course of your relationship up to the time of the application. Because of time, I will summarize it. Also, financial requirement, you need to be able to prove that your annual income is £18,600. Only yesterday, I was speaking to my friend here, and he also brought my attention about the savings, as to whether, if someone has got enough money in his account, whether the savings money can be used towards meeting the financial requirement. Yes, the savings money can be used towards meeting the financial requirement, provided that it's 65,000 choppable pounds and it's been sitting in the account for 6 months, and you can prove the source of that money. If you can do that, then by all means, you can then use that one as to meet the financial requirement. But of course, there are also exceptions in meeting the financial requirement. If the sponsor is receiving disability living allowance, severe disablement allowance, industrial injury disablement benefit, attendance allowance, carers allowance, personal independent payment, armed forces independent payment, or guaranteed income payment under the Armed Forces Compensation Scheme, or constant attendance allowance, mobility supplement, or war disability pension benefit, then of course you will not need to meet the financial requirement. And even if you are receiving any of these benefits, there is something called the adequate maintenance test. You have to be able to meet that. You know, when you come to see us, we will go through all that process and help you to see whether you can satisfy the rules. And of course, you have to also meet the English test requirement, level A1. If you have a degree which was taught in English, then you can use that. If it's a foreign degree, you have to get NARIC certificate to be able to get yourself exempted. If you are over 65, then of course, once again, you will not have to pass the English test or meet the English test. Or if the applicant has a disability which prevents him from meeting the requirement, then of course, the person will be exempted from taking the test. I need to mention this. I had this friend from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, over the course of the week, and the English test, he was of the opinion that they were exempted, Tanzania. And I said to him that some time ago that was the case, but that wasn't the case. The strange thing is, he had his father who sponsored his wife to come to the UK about 20 years ago. And his father is giving him 20 years ago advice. But he thought, no, I need to go and see a lawyer who is sharp, who will be able to advise. And hold and behold, one day came up, justice and law came up. So he came to see us. We went through the process, the requirement, the procedure and everything. And it transpired that they don't even have test center in Tanzania. And therefore the closest one was Kenya, Nairobi. And therefore they have to travel there to do the test. So the English test, you know, you must do it unless you fall within the exemptions that I have mentioned. Also, accommodation. If you are sponsoring someone to come to the UK, you must have accommodation. One thing that I must mention, because this has happened to me twice, and it's very, very frustrating for me, and it's very, very annoying, where I have had 2 applications being refused on the basis that the applicant's signature on the marriage certificate is slightly different from his signature in his passport. That alone has led to refusal. I have looked at the signatures, and to be honest with you, there isn't much difference, because your signature can only be the same as a signature that you have signed on other documents if you have been given the same space to put the signature. So in his passport, the space that he's been given is so small, and therefore he had to squeeze the signature in the small space. On the marriage certificate, the place is so big, and therefore the signature had to be bold and big. That alone, Home Office said the signatures are different, and therefore on that basis, application is refused. It's annoying, it's frustrating, but I count myself lucky that majority of people that come to us, they are reasonable people. And therefore, by looking at this and going through with the client, I didn't have to say anything. The client said, this is ridiculous, by the caseworker. The client never said, this is ridiculous, because of what the lawyer did not do or what the lawyer did not say. But this is a pure mistake from the Home Office, and I believe we will get that resolved within no time. No doubt in my mind that we will succeed. It's just unfortunate. It's a setback, but it is not the end. We will keep fighting. So it does happen. So all that I will say to you, if you are watching me, if you are listening to me, make sure that your signatures are consistent. Regardless of where you sign it, what document that you sign it in, make sure that your signature, you stick to the same signature, so that what has happened to these people will also not happen to you. Because there was no reason whatsoever that the application merited refusal. I will say to you this: I had no doubt the application will be successful. But then, these things do happen. And when it happens, you look for solution and you work with your client. If you're a client, you work with your lawyer to get a solution. That's all that I can say in respect to marriage applications. If you are in a relationship with someone, the person is prepared to help you to file for your papers, and you need to go back home, do not hesitate. Build up the courage. Even if you have a bad immigration history, come to us. We will do assessment and we will tell you about your chances. And I believe you will succeed. If and only if you come to us, you are straight with us, you tell us the truth, we will do genuine assessment and we will be as honest with you as we can. We will be as straight with you as a ruler, because we don't mince our words. If it will help you, we will tell you. If you are going to face challenges, and even on an appeal, there's a strong chance that you will win, we will give you all options. And then you then make the decision, and we will help you. And I'm glad to say, not even one person has passed through our hands who has basically got stuck in Ghana. The only case that got difficult was 1.5 years, and the person is back in the country. And the person is so grateful. You know what he said to me? What he has achieved within a year that he's been back. Over 10 years that he was living here, he never achieved that. So life is not about how long that you start something, but it's how fast and how effective you finish it. Abrabo, beginning enye diyo, nembum ewieye, ehone asem. Abrawa wohui, oni hwe kra no. Enye na batwe. Na aboa ese sene ho ewo sade a enchen preku. Yen take this commercial break from our sponsors, and then when we come back, we will continue the program. And this time, we are going to be looking at UK immigration from the year 2021. From January 2021, what you must expect and the need to start making preparations for what is to come. Don't go anywhere. Keep tuning in, and we'll be back after the commercial break. Share the program for us as well, so that people can benefit from it.
And so a numb no cry asantino who send ya who bet manisika say yes wachimao. It's in a paradise city. Ya did this beautiful ultramodern city Apatema Community 25 whoop standard executive semi-executive quality buildings yani paradise city ye wo home it says ye dia brochure abagana ntino ye payment terms no so ada phone book open self finance and as a mortgage paradise city oh your telephone number so UK +447 908 475 802 paradise city ye juma pa amagana ye fe ankasa Medafo, we yamanka, wow, what die papa be our Ghana, and so a num no cry asantino, who send ya Uber Manisika, say yes, what you mount. It's in a paradise city. Ya did this beautiful ultramodern city, Apatema, Community 25, Open Standard, Executive, Semi-Executive quality buildings. Any paradise city, ye will home out. It's as a dear brochure about Ghana, your payment terms no so, and a phone book call, open self finance. And as a monkey, Paradise City. Oh, your telephone number says so. UK +447 908 475 802. Paradise City. Ye Jumapa Magana Yefe Ankasa. Metaphor, we yamanka, wow.
That God has a covenant with you. Therefore, you shall never be put to shame. Omiada for how any say and a wooing. Justice and law solicitor said, Bomadiana brand and your mumedi home como, on the mouth and futu, Nasayadi so to one more, on the bout no to one more. A immigration and answer nationality problems. Say a student application, family independent application. So pass it now, Kruma, and now shall lawyer be no jina one name or court amount. Personal injury claims. Say employment, landlord and tenant issue or housing issue. Family and divorce issues. Drafting legal document, will writing, renting and leasing shop, lease extension. Open a juicy canon peso the mount. And you near Kawakuma to him now how you know to a trap. But what any justice and law solicitors for Nkasa. 075-3896-9589. And I say 0207-738-5841. But what Fred justice and law solicitors na ye kwanya ye be faso ye be wow. Home Ewo, Unit 35 Eurolink Business Center, 49 Efra Road, Brixton, SW21BZ. Like I said, we have Victoria Line to Brixton. Bus 2, 3, 37, 415, 432, 689 and 690. Siwa St. Andrew's Church Pastor. Sepa Emra Samudia Baby, here any justice and law solicitors.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's continue with the last bit of the program, which we are going to be talking about changes that is coming in from 1st of January 2021. As we all know, the UK government has already released its policy proposal for immigration, and this came up this year, February 2020, setting out how the government is going to adapt or change the immigration system after we have come out of the European Union. Over the weeks, we've talked a lot about Britain coming out of the European Union and the consequences and the fact that EEC visas, i.e. residency cards, and also residency permits will, in some cases, will no longer be applicable in the UK, and they need to apply for EU, European Union Settlement Scheme cards to replace those ones, so that when you travel and you're coming back, you will not have too much problems. We've spoken about that. Now let's look at the general guide, what is going to happen, the overview. And after that, we will speak to Mr. Paradise City and activate the telephone lines so that we can finish the program around 1 o'clock, because I've got a lot to do today. So after the show, I beg, if you want to ask questions, you have to wait until next week, because if you call, you will not be able to reach me. The telephone will be off whilst I see 1 or 2 people for emergency works that I need to do. Thank you very much. So let's look at this. Irish nationals, those people from Republic of Ireland, they'll be able to continue to live, work and study in the UK without obtaining immigration permission. And they will only need to show their passports as proof of these rights. So as we know, they have something called common travel area between Britain and Republic of Ireland. before the European Union. They were going and coming and please as they want. That will continue. Nothing will change. Number 2, all non-British or Irish nationals will, from 1st of January 2021, will require a valid immigration status to live, work and study in the UK. Whilst non-EEA nationals will continue to receive visas in their passports and biometric residency permits, in most cases, EEA nationals will not receive a physical document evidencing their status. Instead, it will be linked to their passport number and will be able to verify it an online system. As we know, when you apply for the when you apply for the settlement scheme visa, you can only verify it through an online system, or they will simply give you a letter, and that is already in place. Next one, EEA nationals who are living in the UK before 31st of December 2020 can apply under the EU settlement scheme for a valid immigration status, which will allow them to continue to live, work and study in the UK without restrictions. So if you are in the UK with your EEC national, you need to put in your application on or before 31st of December 2020. We need to watch out for that. Also, all new arrivals to the UK from 1st of January 2021 will need a visa before they travel to the UK if they intend to live, work or study in the UK. So that is how it is. So we need to also watch out for that. We need to watch out for that. Also, the government intends to keep the application and other additional fees and charges for the immigration applications at the same level as they are currently, and in some cases increase them. This will have a large number of impact on EEA nationals who currently do not have to pay any fees to exercise EU free movement rights or apply under the EU settlement scheme. The government, as we have stated, say that they're going to keep the fees as it is. However, once we have come out, the government will be able to change the fees. So this is something that we also have to work out and see the best way forward. Because if you do not put in any application now, once we come out of the European Union, the government can basically do whatever they want, do whatever it pleases. So you need to watch out for that. And also, many of the immigration routes will be renamed and will be more descriptive. In this note, basically some of the categories that are being renamed are as follows. What we used to call the Tier 1, now they call it the Startup or the Innovator Visa. Tier 1 Exceptional Talent, now they call it Global Talent. Tier 1 Post-Study Work, as we know, it was cancelled, now it's being reintroduced for graduates who are starting their graduate qualification this year, September 2020, who will complete from 2021 going. Once they complete their courses in May, June, July next year, they should be able to apply for post-study work. Now they call it graduate visas. Tier 2 General, now we call it Skilled Worker Visa. And then Tier 2 Intra-Company Transfer, now they call it Intra-Company Transfer. Tier 4 General, it used to be called Student Visa, now it's going to be changed into Student Visa again. And then Tier 5 Youth Mobility, now they call it Youth Mobility Scheme Visa. So this is, a few that I have been able to identify. So people have to watch out for that. So there's going to be some changes slowly coming in, and the names, what we call it, is also going to change. So it's something that we also have to basically be aware of and bear in mind. It's very, very, very important that we do that. So now, what is next? What is next is as follows. what is next is as follows. We are going to have a quick word with Mr. Ishen. And once we finish, we will activate the telephone lines and take some phone calls. Today, we're going to invite our sister, Abba, but for one or two reasons, she was unable to make it today. So we're going to speak to Mr. Ishan for about 5-10 minutes, and then we can then activate the telephone line, take some questions, and we are hoping to finish the program exactly at 1 o'clock. So bear with us whilst I called Mr. Ishan.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
You are live. You are live on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Bibi Aboko.
Oh, Yami Adam, what you want to say?
Nyame Adam.
Oh, great. Great.
And again, now, my.
Okay. Me da wasi bebre say wa mama kwinja say me ni Ghana community no ne adofo omu wi ase na omu tie ya me kan say nia wodi amayen cheche wodi amayen no numu do papa na da wasi say abibia no wo mehen update eboy hen bebre me wa boa me kese antem sembre boso na metimi aba studio ho that time na wo find a pandemic ni bibia akofom na ya tena ase ya kan ya wawe mu na nkofo hu boy a we died and we da boa me na me bisuafo nti ya bakasa ya me nkoso nhiraw we sense we no winya sa information in fi bibia say justice and law no would baby no wo kan wo ma advice ni podo nkofo po na ya wonwa me kai positive at that time no na nkofo keka say didn't na lawyer wakasa but you said the truth nti ya wo fence abi na no edemitrim say wutumi ya me adma wo boa no ne Ghana for bebre ya wo fence nya adofo ihe Ghana for nko Jamaica for no ne na di na no wutumi boa on East Africa for no bibia wutumi boa no to bi obobo ko bia no wo fence onya ne ohwehwe we na ye kase nyame wo fence na dum wo so nyame ni tumi wo so nyame nkoso anu nhiraw no omboa na abi na wetumi de nchechre no ne wo fence mboa Ghana for no ne adofo na muhia no wetumi da boa ne ye kan say bia de ne amway and I say in the yabaka bibi kakra afa oye wo friends and diabetes last week and last 2 weeks here kan ho asam kakra na your friends ye hu nia ekoso na nia all say then yitumi ye ama yitumi control yes sugar level na abibia no ewo ye nwena edi hen nano na yabaka bibi say wo friends last year ka say be with the type 1 and type 2 diabetes na see it me control dia and as if you did ye na your lifestyle obetumi abwa hen bebre ma yetumi ai then atena se ache beside that no so me can say bia hot doctors in particular and GPs no omuma yen ndru no ne na ade ebia na modu atu insulin so ebia na modu atu metformin no ne hu keka hu bebre so say no ne control sa blood sugar na wo fence and akosoro no inti wo fence sa nnyome ne ka say the side effect wo ho bebre the mind because of ndro na moye no research no ne na ja kum bebre but ne say one say because of say one friends and pharmaceutical companies no sika omunya na adinti omu sometimes no pese omu beja say dia woka bibiti say dia wo say wo fa supplement bi na otumi boa omu nji ntumbo friends say yes omu sika no be de na be kofom na ne etini say yame adom na say bia wunya yen na we bia wo contact yen na yetumi ma your product na your plant-based product in dia offense and ebeyi sa side effect biara chemical product na mo de maye na sindru na mo de maye no wo fence na betumi eyi na kwa na wetumi ayeden atina ase ache kakra makani se bia wo mkase bia nipa no nya wo fence the sugar level akosro bebre nti yetaka se bia wo fence the sugar level no akosro na che se ye how bebre na fisu so kofom so a na ye how bebre so which is which akosro a wo problem sugar level na akosro a wo problem so ankosro so na se ewo fomu a papa so a no so wo problem nti dia nti na don so aban sa ono na ye wo friends ye di be 5 minutes bi ye de baka ho asam but before ye bokoso no ye fi bibi wo friends and NHL diabetes prevention program current one or see you can say most people will be shocked to know that around 22,000 people with diabetes die early every year. They die early every year. Omu in time 22,000 people will come to UK. Omu in time every year. Let's just say idea I will say you take precautions. To gain diabetes no, I am an impo in time no. Na gen so kwa na ekafaba kwa. Into I say ayu to send a yakase be a muffin so a killer disease. You should bet me I say one bonkai send us a glucose level no cold forma. You bet me in your shani be brea. What friends or the negative effect be bro. And one takra a bear a how be breed amayan. Into I say there are constantly or there are currently 3.4 million people with type 2 diabetes in England, with around 200,000 new diagnoses every year. While type 1 diabetes cannot be prevented and is not limited or is not linked to lifestyle, type 2 diabetes is largely preventable through lifestyle changes. Inti nature say type 1 ya kase ayedin se obede obetumi asesa no nti we hear last week program ye no lawyer popo confirm me say e bi oye no hu say e betumi ayeden e betumi change and say betumi reverse type 2 no ina agina we didie a obeden obehwe so o se ni ye na sugar level no na di na e won monitor with the glucose no na wetumi ayeden egu say ekoso na ekofom ananti ye didi say so kwanibu pa so say ma yes bi po ba no to me be checking how e betumi wo fence ye use sa blood glucose monitoring machine na nche wo fence e betumi aboa ebre nti wo say no su pa e say high blood pressure nti wo say no su ye den ye gbomodin na ye fin ye because e kofo ebre wo a na because of diabetes ninti. Inti se kase bia obu low blood sugar, which is hypoglycemia. Na se bin tumika hypoglycemia. Eche se low blood sugar. Na se low blood sugar, na ayedien na kafaba. Also low blood sugar, also known as hypoglycemia, can be a dangerous condition. Low blood sugar can happen in people with a diabetic or diabetes which will take medication that increase insulin level in the body. Inti na patch say nisina ni say so low blood sugar wo find say e no so dangerous. That bo focus be dangerous and say you na wo find say ni say you didi agro. No, my main question is what are the symptoms of low blood sugar? Or say to get a beer, our friends saying, so be low blood sugar, and I say beer. Sometimes we wait to me in a seizure, which means we are fit during the course of low blood sugar. A bohan will fall into coma, into which in the way, no so be and pin one, and I shall be and ban one. Bet me at any time, and as a baby, Cassidy, botum aiden at all. You feel see your rapid heartbeat. But so I come and I ten. Now suddenly we face a mood of changes. So bet me wana so we will make bibi insistent be about one more cry. Now sudden nervousness. So man I say bibi is being who be abed and abba show mu and I say baby roll mu. Unexplained fatigue. The blue house and now offense. We just say, clean down, no one bread, and down no one bread, chin and one bread. We cross our bread, breast, our bread, baby, and make us a pool. We ye to man, and I say, we ye in a day. Now, apart from that, your headache, kutiba pow, near one hunger, comes about you. Now, we will be saying, we will be shaking a day, shaking. Now, offense and come in a business. Maybe so some why embrace or to consabi, who say, wouldn't be an fine. Now, which may so sweaty or necessary. What is sweating? No, nay, day. Besides that, it's sometimes difficulty in sleeping. It was a wound to me, and that skin tingling. Well, money be as a million will pip. Nurse and at the total, a day. Be beside a chest, I say with them, would you know who say, or condemn or so far. Baby also call GP and I say we I didn't trouble thinking clearly. Yes, so much mean papa who can summon see na bibi basabasa, no loss of consciousness, no ni seizure, no ni coma. Sign your main nano, a bar necessary, honestly, or so ni so with ya grow, utumrika, no be a GP, and that's utumrika, no to make a test, and I say, Uber fare ambulance. Wait me abow ma sa conditional woman wait me Aiden, wait me Ephraim. Until besides that na ye catch or say half a cup of juice or regular offense and soda. Until bibi to say bia bansa also wait me anum offense and sichebi and as a bibia so the woman did just to control the situation. Maybe so 1 tablespoon of honey. No so one ma offense and this bit me control situation 4 or 5 satin crackers to say BNC offense and biscuit be crack be obedia bet me I say find the sugar kakawum I bet me I then assistant mood and I say conditioner offense and woman no you hyperglycemia you high or hypo you hyperglycemia, offense will be over type 2 diabetes, and say, oh, sugar level na cost. Now, what are the hyperglycemia? So I say high blood sugar and I say cost. Since you know, and I say near Eddie Bayano, no so a yatite. Or say, me born stutter, no say excessive test. You combat the excessive urination. Ubo Johnson be time only say was Johnson or Johnson, when super and Johnson or Wara, need na yet a for instance, also who say BB and Cossy or Hunam Diano. Increase urination at night. No, so Bibiana Tisania can Bibiano Fuso Cosanching, Uko Johnson, in a blurry vision. Or humble so we need you kusukusu, we knew in two papa, Nasri Naka na offense and at the banner source that won't hear. In your crew and check papa and son apple. Until Sanko for no Bibia, when it's away, and we Bibia, Abama, a fancy crew, Iden, about him. Let this fatigue, so that is a bread, no, necessary, sexy. Into offense and ye kakra, it really said. Next week, Yami Adene, the causes of the hyperglycemia on the hyponina. Yeah, F. Kafasan, your money naba, your befriending now. But you let me bring tea because why you need at the jail for the Abandon China training on the Nade. Until on an offense, yeah, but or say, currently, according to statistics on diabetes in the UK, 3.8 million people with diabetes in the UK. And it is estimated that a further 500,000 adults have type 2 diabetes. They don't even know it. Until hospital, check will be until we have about 500,000 people over. Say type 2 diabetes for mo bi anasa mo ni bi o send am ko hospital nka check here in the hospital intake any record. There are a number of types of diabetes. Inti wo friends and they say ya can your type 1 and type 2. Inti wo friends and ya the we be see ha na ya me aduma next week na wo friends and itumi atua so na ya call yenim. Inti ya kan for ni say ya wo right you find a big 5. So big 5 no will take care itumi control with diabetes in the form. But what by normal only whereby will take care up to from 3 to 6 months. Wo fa dia no baba by normal a wonu men drobio ono betumi yie fi so why bra when friends saying we lifestyle we friends we show we DJ no na because most of the time the any doing now so your carbohydrate I dem be shame of come and say so the any you know so your sugar or your salt e biana wo krum ha ye to was shopping ye can shopping on na de no say your sugar and your salt is in your good mind high blood pressure. What I say now also contribute into the A until for you to get a boost immune system abibiano you recommend say ubenya nutrite big 5 a bit me abwa a control system no ma wo fence and bibiara aiden ade no kwem no hwato which me atena se tembra ya me fence e ode amount no ya me can we say ya wona me bebre ketwa bi ono ya wo even water bottle me say but modern try na share water bottle aye sonko kra aye din na wo find say no hydration and I say effect heat e bela kana into mean generate anything because in sooner wo find say one was sense be test ko no na de bottles no mi na ye mre nti say o dynamic chair utiminya effect on it and next time here I'm bring to ma ya baka the scientific aspect of it on we prove researchers it may prove say in sure our bottles house soft bottles it will contribute to our health enya the papa find the information because we no no na de kana utimi generate heat be war friends and sour water into why don't you try Amway water bottle perfect. Who you work your friends and idea about me the cleaning or friends and toilet bowl cleaner. Men you should bleach. Because bleach in we and at the same time we heli na cool moi na the negative effect here then at the brown woman beer. And why don't you they pump and say you buy my Ghana for a tearphony now much to say chemicals near Momadin Yinaqua. Also the chemicals you couldn't. You were doctor be from Copenhagen, a waka, doctor Mukase, but minimum time able to me buy between that to Sunny. No, can't draw any side effect. A couldn't probably a woman weed nara and the Mindruna with the man hospital, no side effect, no queen. Inti also bombarding in aqua, no more plant based. Product a bit now Brian near to me at Nasiache. Until I am not a crowd. Or friends made back or diabetes only on the one umbra or friends winning say that's a big lawyer.
So between the number to Jamaya, Kebe the pa. What telephone number?
Mpacho telephone number is 075 076 30 487. Pacho message video 075 076 30 487. Now by a website is www.amway.co.uk/user/MS EMMESH. So what is your program for support that be out Benya now offense so that's the way put young
yes, that was a pa.
Lawyer.
Maybe I'm a trophy not to be 10-15 minutes be. Naturally, it's me for phone calls. Kakrani did you mediana abanabi. And I can say we one pepe, but young fat phone calls so I naturally say in ye in Tina. Miss Amway, Yami insure, you know, CP. Bye bye for now. And now, yen fat phone calls 1 or 2 be na no, yen call your name. Say, Opesa Ofra number, Obefre ABC so, 07538 969 589. Memfa Engu comment section. Na motimi idea. Afre, or question be that's the number to call. Hello, first caller.
Hello, lawyer.
Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Nampa Chodin is saying.
I am from Zulu.
Zulu. Na Mr. Zulu, and then Awie.
Pacho, it's your program. Na maybe kind of that was more any effort to I would in every Saturday. Now, Mitie wo lectures about redundancy in the question be and pass me pusa. Now, question is say redundancy no a cover your period employer no as I say what the more notification and answer yet me power amani say ochina redundancy account nti wuni adwuma have you ansa na entitlement ni ne aka no mobadwen ho na biom so no a negotiation na wo kan me want me anyamre ankom wo si next time say steps are and nipa no employer no as I say what the employee no efaso na ne eha me ha no mpese me hu say is there any time frame as I say employer no edima employee no in the like notification for redundancy na ana.
Yes, I mean, a chromo, anything biano, you have to give a person reasonable time and also a notice. So, for example, employer Baohone was a China make you redundant, a bit odd kakra, in the sense to say there have to be a consultation where the employer no, have to explain to you why there is a need to make redundancy. And saying actually, no, they have to go through selection process and identify who is going to face the redundancy. And then they have to discuss with them as to whether there are any alternatives to redundancy. And then you have to then agree that I've selected you, there are no alternatives, and therefore I'm going to make you redundant. By law, this is how much I'm supposed to give you. However, because of our level of services, I'm prepared to give you better offer than what the law says I should give you. So, a better order say this process can take place within 24 hours. And then the next day, they say you are out. Some employers at the moment, it seems to me that they are sort of rushing without following the right procedure. And if that happens, that could lead to unfair dismissal or unfair constructive dismissal or both.
All right. Just example, in case say a period of 2 weeks notice, is it too short or is falls within the requirement?
A bit depending how reasonable it is. So, for example, employer no any Sainsbury's here ejuma as an example. Sainsbury's has given them impression say contract in urban a next week, they will renew it. All of a sudden, Sainsbury's are telling Akachro say I will not renew it. Under those circumstances, it will be deemed to be reasonable. Because they did not anticipate, said they are going to lose the contract. So it's all down to reasonableness. It depends. But no matter what, there have to be a consultation. They need to explain to you what is happening and why the employer have to take such action. And once that takes place, and they look at whether there is alternatives, if there's no alternatives there, then they have to basically speed it up and do it up to the time that they have to be out of the business premises. So, for example, say Sainsbury's contract is coming to an end next Monday. Next Monday, there's no job for you. They cannot do anything about it. So sometimes that is the harsh reality. What is reasonable under the circumstances? And he said, if you don't have the full factor, it's very difficult to say 2 weeks is enough or ain't enough. It be depend what has actually gone down.
Oh, yo, me that's a lawyer.
Okay, that's it. But one line to one more friend, we're going to be in room. I'm between us free. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, lawyer. I'm going to say,
Yamia don't book on us way.
Boko, hey, I'm offended.
Madam Manuasi.
Hey, jai. Me for say, I'm weird.
He said, my small boy cry more.
Oh, I'm offended. You ready? I'm going to store.
Baby.
Yeah, I practical. No, lawyer, that was the place where I can't employment as some no more cost or not just a now last this week he might say a chinko for be play or Ramford. Just a ticket now on be channel. One person be chat. Tigana for me slow. Wouldn't see can travel any anante. Na one share na the free money some hiding. Apple because Nipa ya control this week. Right, I answer Kutuakura bass passing. Until the study of Yasana Kono, adding young Shannon for Noma and to 2 years because 1 year. No maka crab in a cell, no more be pretty. Tia that was be pretty, so employment as 7 I had thing, papa. Before crying, you lawyer. Won't be declaring,
yeah.
No, so sometime I have sworn, Obekruma open craft. I was there, we say, was so full send any ati. Intino, young more than an fire into from that. The hiano, young idea here, the emphatan, eh. And the amway so yet was a pa, ne normal actually. Net running the summer catcher will say, me no bintino, a yepa, Timid. Why am I down to be brave? What time, sir?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that was it. Bye for now. Okay, more free number go so as I afraid one call at a time. TV3P offering us when to me remember now or bomode no as I afraid beam. And then ye bokota pass same digimani ebane and you move on because time in the side. T Mr. Maha. Sir, until we toast one as afraid. Hello.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Patrick the same like I said.
Repacho, your favorite Sofu Gabriel. Repacho, me will question be a bizarre a friend say employment we say redundant concerning the redundancy.
Young Sofu.
Repacho, the issue is your friend says so Obia Juma company na Juma for 18 years on the stretch. He has been stupid over the years, and he has a continuous 18 years at the place now of work now. But at the last 4 years now, that's for the past 4 years now, because of some health issues, friends are war some new way say it. Anybody change from what's it called full time not to part time, and at this time now there's redundancy at the place, and unfortunately she's one of the people, and Akobana said now they are calculating the redundancy payment now based on her your friend is a part time
current wages.
The current wages now. So is there any chance to say, because while you're full time and she was raised on the full time at the time that she was doing the full time, she was even a supervisor and was looking forward to go to the next level, but because of the C and it now obey part time, but now they want they on her current wages almost they calculate redundancy for the 18 years eti akwanya bi wo honom say obetimi anya say 14 years now we full time obetimi anya ya no full time redundancy rather than say almost based on the friends that the part time now that's she's doing is about I think 4 hours a day for the whole of the 18 years
Yeah, I mean Osha, the wording of how redundancy package is calculated statutory. Employer not a right in the sense say what it says your current weekly wages times the number of years.
Yes.
So if we are between 22 to 41. And from 41 going, you know, a 1.5. And we under 21 a 0.5. And therefore, no, by law, that is the minimum. But you say, I let any be the kind, or see, if you don't ask, you don't get. You can go with a counter proposal. I say, look, I have worked for your company for so long. I believe that, you know, I need to be treated a bit fairly here. I understand what the law says. However, I also worked for the company for 14 years. And under the circumstances, I ask that you calculate the 14 years on the basis of my full-time wages and the 4 years on the basis of my part-time wages. That will be at the discretion of the employer, you see, to do that for you. Because when it comes to redundancy pay, I know most of the employers now what they offer, no, in most cases, is better than even the statutory minimum. And you know, I know down to negotiations. And some offer what she's earning at the moment, they are not wrong. Because if you look at a holiday entitlement, it will be also be based on the part-time work that she's doing, rather than the history of what she has, you know, done in the past. And you know, unfortunately, it may sound unfair, but sometimes the employer may also lose under certain circumstances where sometimes, you know, you change someone into a full-time, something changes, and you have to give the person more money. You see, so unfortunately, this one is not something that she can argue too much, but she will instead ask or maybe plead. And if the employer is reasonable, they may accept that, or they may compromise and also give her a little bit more than what she will currently get.
Okay, so the second question is, Papa Chum, it's a line I hot one. The second question is, because most of us or most of the people are on furlough, and then the redundant, what's it called, the processing and the consultation process for the redundancy has started, right? Okay, so at the moment, you know, whoever is at home is receiving 80% of the 80% that the government is giving.
Job retention scheme.
So now, your friend is a redundancy. The consultation process, you know, has ended for the redundancy, and one knows that, you know, they've told you that, okay, on your last consultation, final consultation, you've been told that, okay, you have been redundant. Yes. Okay. Right. Are we, by law, that is what I want to know, because one was told that, your friend is saying, say, if my last final consultation is today, tomorrow starts, tomorrow starts my notice period, say for 12 weeks notice period or 10 weeks notice period. You know, so my question there is, because we are on furlough and then we're being paid by the government, you know, which is ending October by October. Yeah. So is the employer, you know, is he allowed, or is it by lawful for him to say my this thing has ended, my furlough has ended from today, and my notice period is starting tomorrow?
Okay, and what the employer is telling you is your furlough is ending today, and from today, you know, is giving you a notice period in which the employment is going to come to an end in 12 weeks' time. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Fellow, now as you are aware, now, the government is pushing people to go back to work, and indirectly, one could argue, he is also persuading employers to get employees back to work. It is for this reason that from 1st of October, the money that he's even giving out, he's dropping it down again to about 60% or 70%. 60% now is 80% until 1st of October. So he's driving people to go back to work. So the employer had a choice either to drag you to come to work from today, and then you work your notice period until such time that the redundancy will take effect. And I don't think so in this case, the employer has done anything wrong.
Okay, because what I wanted to be sure is because we are on the fill up for my start, isn't it so?
Pacho u break it and tinny cry. Emma.
Yeah, but I just want to make a
I fear tonka. Tibi agina na gina wasa mai.
But me shake it. So what so what I was saying is that because we are on fellow no, I was thinking say the fellow has to come to an end for my notice period of redundancy to kick in. Is that not so?
Because what you said is a fellow or the fellow neighbor end. And the notice period no started.
Yeah.
It's in a fellow neighbor or the fellow neighbor end, notice period can start. But whilst you are on fellow neighbor, you don't have to work, you don't have to do anything until the fellowing has come to an end.
Yeah, but in this case, this is what the employer is doing. He's saying, right, because events you have been redundant today, yeah. You are it's like you are out of the fellow and your notice period is starting tomorrow. Because
the case is once you are out of the fellow, that means you are back to work. And if you are back to work, notice period can start. If that is the case, I don't think there's any problem with that. But once you are on the fellow and the fellow hasn't come to an end and is giving you a notice, then that is where the problem comes in.
Right. Okay. That is where I'm seeing that the unfairness there. So coming with this question now.
Yeah, because if you are still on fellow, the fellow hasn't brought the fellow to an end, and he's telling you that you are going to be given a notice period or you are going to be sacked whilst you are on fellow. That one, it doesn't bound well with the law. No.
Okay.
Because potentially there is a problem there. If it is the case, he said that your fellow hasn't come to an end, and he's serving you notice that you are going to quit your job or whatever. Some employers are, at this current climate, some of them are not playing by the rules. Because if you are on fellow, you are not even supposed to work. But we've heard of cases where people are indirectly being bullied to come to work, being threatened with a sack if you don't come to work whilst they are on fellow. But the government guidelines is that when you are on fellow, you must not go to work unless you agree, unless you want to.
Okay, right. I need to come.
Yeah, you need to come down so that we can we can go inside and see what is what. Yeah. Okay, fantastic.
Yes.
Let's take one phone call. Thank you very much. Let's take our last call and bring the program to an end. Pacha de no friend also time we subit me a friend e koye ni mo yeah. Okay, de no friend no yemfa your last call. Na fi yemfa dwumedie no emra na wie. Yes, if you want to come and see us, my name is David Darko, Justice and Law Solicitors. We are based at Unit 35B, 49 Ephra Road, Brixton, London, SW2 1BZ. We open our office Monday to Friday, 9:30 to 5:30 p.m. So get in touch and we will do you justice. So Monday to Friday, we will see you again next week. We thank you for joining us today. And as always, God be with you. And we thank you. We're waiting for one more phone calls. If you come in, by all means, we would answer your last phone call. and then we bring the program to an end.
Don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true, saying, this is my message to you. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true, saying, this is my message to you. Don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is gonna be alright.
Old pirates, yes, they rob I, sold I to the merchant ship. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty.
All right, it's time to go. Thank you very much. May the Lord Almighty bless you. Until we meet again next week, you look after yourself and look after each other. God bless. Bye-bye. Next week, until then, shalom.
These songs of freedom, 'cause all I ever had, redemption songs, redemption songs.
Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We got to fulfill the book. So won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption songs, redemption songs, redemption songs. Old pirates, yes, they rob I, sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Yes, some say it's just a part of it. We got to fulfill the book. So won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption songs. All I ever had, redemption songs. These songs of freedom, songs of freedom.